The vertical frontier, how New York learned to touch the sky. Imagine a city perpetually bathed in shadow, where the horizon is not defined by distant hills, but by a close-knit, jagged tapestry of steel and stone that seems to scrape the very clouds. This is the enduring image of New York, a city that did not just grow, it exploded vertically in one of the most astonishing feats of engineering, finance, and human ambition ever witnessed. The story of New York's transformation from a walking city of 5- and 6-story brownstones into the quintessential city of heights is not merely a tale of construction. It is a dramatic narrative of ingenuity battling geology, capital conquering gravity, and a fierce rivalry that forever changed the American dream. Before starting the video, I have a small request for all of you. If you are new to my channel, please subscribe and stay with me to watch more videos like this. And if you are watching from Facebook, make sure to follow my Facebook page. If you enjoy the video, don't forget to like, comment to share your thoughts, and share it with your friends. The constraint and the catalyst. The fundamental problem with New York City, particularly Manhattan, is its geography. It is an island. From the colonial era through the mid-19th century, land was a finite and rapidly consumed commodity. As commerce boomed after the Civil War, fueled by railroads, industry, and immigration, the need for dense, centralized office and commercial space in Lower Manhattan reached a fever pitch. A plot of land near Wall Street could cost more than an entire block in an uptown residential neighborhood. Building out was impossible. The only direction left was up. Yet, two seemingly insurmountable obstacles stood in the way of this vertical ambition. The first was the limit of masonry. For centuries, the weight of a building was supported by its walls. The higher the structure, the thicker the walls needed to be at the base to prevent collapse. By the 1870s, builders were already hitting a practical limit around 10 stories. To construct a 15-story building using traditional methods would require walls so thick at the ground floor that they would consume most of the valuable retail space, rendering the project uneconomical. The second, surprisingly, was the practical limit of human endurance, the staircase. No matter how grand the building, few people, and certainly no paying tenant, wanted to climb more than 5 or 6 flights of stairs on a daily basis. A 10-story building with no alternative to the stairs was economically unviable for anything other than a low-rent tenement. The solution to these twin problems arrived from two separate but perfectly timed technological breakthroughs: the safety elevator and the steel frame. The elevator, first successfully installed by Elisha Graves Otis in 1853, was more than just a convenience. It was a revolution. Otis's patented safety brake, which engaged the moment the hoisting rope broke, transformed the elevator from a dangerous novelty into a trustworthy conveyance. Once people were assured they could reach the 30th floor safely and effortlessly, the real estate value of that 30th floor instantly became comparable to the ground floor. The elevator made the skyscraper desirable. The steel frame, however, made it possible. The steel skeleton, an architectural renaissance. While Chicago is often credited with pioneering the first true steel-framed skyscraper, the Home Insurance Building, 1885, by William LeBaron Jenney, New York rapidly adopted and perfected the technology. The steel frame represented a paradigm shift. Instead of the walls carrying the weight, a skeletal cage of rolled steel I-beams carried the entire load, transferring it down to the foundation. The outer walls, the skin, became mere curtains, protecting the interior from weather but bearing no structural weight. This allowed for thinner walls and more windows, maximizing light and rentable space. Unprecedented heights, limited only by the strength of the steel and the imagination of the engineer. By the 1890s, the race was on. Architects like Daniel Burnham, Cass Gilbert, and the firm of McKim, Mead, and White began to view the skyscraper not just as an office block, but as a monumental sculpture, a column of commerce that required a distinguished architectural style. This era, known as the Beaux Arts or Gothic Revival skyscraper period, saw buildings clad in elaborate classical detailing. The goal was to mask the shocking modernity of the steel skeleton with a veneer of tradition. The Park Row Building, 1899, at 30 stories and 391 feet, was briefly the world's tallest office building. It was quickly overshadowed by the Singer Building, 1908, a slender, striking tower of 47 stories. But these were mere preludes to a new breed of giants. The Trinity of Giants, the battle for the sky. The first 2 decades of the 20th century were defined by an intense, spectacular, and utterly public competition among wealthy magnates and corporations to erect the tallest, most iconic structure. This rivalry was more than vanity. It was the ultimate advertisement in the age of emerging corporate branding. 1. The Metropolitan Life Tower, 1909. For a brief, dazzling moment, the title of the world's tallest building belonged to the Metropolitan Life Insurance Company. Architecturally inspired by the Campanile in Venice, a classical bell-shaped tower, the MetLife Tower soared to 50 stories and 700 feet. It was a testament to the stability and immense capital of the insurance industry. For 4 years, its glowing clock face was the city's beacon, symbolizing permanence and reliability. 2. The Woolworth Building, 1913. Then came Frank W. Woolworth, the 5 and dime store magnate. Driven by a desire for a Cathedral of Commerce, he commissioned Cass Gilbert to design a headquarters that would dwarf all others. The resulting Woolworth Building was a masterpiece of Gothic Revival architecture, climbing 60 stories to a height of 792 feet. It held the title of the world's tallest for an astonishing 17 years. Gilbert meticulously covered the steel frame with terracotta cladding, creating a building so intricate and beautiful that it seemed to defy the utilitarian nature of the office block. The building's nickname was earned by the fact that Woolworth paid for the entire $13.5 million cost in cash without a single loan. The Woolworth Building cemented the skyscraper's role as a cultural landmark, a vertical symbol of American enterprise, demonstrating that a mere discount merchant could achieve architectural glory previously reserved for kings and popes. The Roaring Twenties and the ultimate duel. The culmination of this vertical ambition came during the mad dash of the late 1920s and early 1930s, fueled by the speculative boom of the Jazz Age. The competition became a 3-way, knife-edged battle, often settled by mere inches. The 40 Wall Street Building, 1930. The opening salvo was fired by the Bank of Manhattan. They rushed to complete their new headquarters at 40 Wall Street with the intention of surpassing the Woolworth Building. They publicly claimed a height of 927 feet. When the building was nearing completion, the chief architect, H. Craig Severance, secretly added a 50-foot ornamental flagpole, bringing the official height to 927 feet and allowing them to claim the title of the world's tallest, if only for a few months. The Chrysler Building, 1930. Walter P. Chrysler, the automotive titan, had a much grander and far more secretive plan. His building's original height was planned to be just below the Bank of Manhattan's. However, the architect, William Van Ellen, had a secret weapon. The entire 185-foot, 7-tiered stainless steel spire was constructed in sections inside the structure and was hoisted through the open top of the crown in a stunning 90-minute operation on October 23, 1929. The public was completely unaware until the spire shot up, instantly and dramatically elevating the Chrysler Building to a height of 1,046 feet. The Chrysler Building, with its Art Deco gargoyles modeled after Chrysler hood ornaments and its spectacular sunburst crown, became the iconic architectural symbol of the Jazz Age, glamorous, audacious, and dripping with optimism. It was the world's tallest building, a magnificent, albeit brief, victory. The Empire State Building, 1931. The final winner of this epic race, however, was a group led by former General Motors executive John J. Raskob. Their goal was simple: to build the tallest building in the world and do it faster and taller than anyone else. Raskob's team purchased the Waldorf Astoria hotel site and began construction on the Empire State Building at the height of the Great Depression. The project became a spectacular feat of speed and logistics. Construction proceeded at the blinding pace of 4.5 stories per week. The structure employed nearly 3,500 workers, many of them Mohawk iron workers from the Caughnawaga Reservation, known as Skywalkers for their fearlessness on the high steel beams. In a staggering 13 months and 15 days, the building was completed. Its final height, including a grand mooring mast intended for dirigibles, a feature that proved impractical but added vital height, reached 1,200 feet. It opened on May 1, 1931, in a ceremony presided over by President Herbert Hoover, turning on the lights from Washington, D.C. Despite opening during the depths of the Depression, leading to the nickname Empty State Building for its lack of early tenants, the Empire State Building stood as a soaring monument to perseverance and the American spirit. It held the title of the world's tallest building for over 40 years, an enduring fixture on the global stage. The human element, the Skywalkers. It is impossible to tell this story without honoring the men who made these vertical fantasies real. The construction workers, especially the Mohawk Skywalkers. These ironworkers possessed a unique, almost genetic comfort with height. They would walk the narrow, exposed I-beams hundreds of feet above the streets, often without safety harnesses, seemingly oblivious to the dizzying heights. Their work was a dangerous ballet of brute strength and precise coordination. Riveters would toss glowing hot rivets across chasms of air to catchers holding buckets who would then hammer them into place with deafening pneumatic guns. The sound of this work, a constant cacophony of hammers, whistles, and steam, was the true soundtrack of the booming city. They were the unsung heroes whose skill and daring literally stacked the pieces of New York's new identity. A city of density, a city of dreams. The historical legacy of New York's vertical explosion is profound. The skyscraper was an early and powerful expression of American capitalism and technological supremacy. These towers were not just boxes for offices. They were economic engines that allowed millions of people and billions of dollars in commerce to be conducted in a physically compact space. This efficiency fundamentally changed the nature of global business. Furthermore, the rise of the skyscraper necessitated the development of entirely new urban systems. This dense population required the construction of sophisticated subway systems, complex sanitation and water infrastructure, and, critically, the creation of modern building and fire codes, lessons often learned in tragic fires. The City of Heights is a product of ambition, technology, and a unique geographical constraint. It is a place where architects dared to dream beyond the clouds and where a team of courageous workers executed that dream beam by beam against the backdrop of an ever-shifting horizon. The Skyline is the city's autobiography, a permanent record of its economic highs, its engineering triumphs, and the sheer, unyielding will to be the biggest, the best, and the highest in the world.